Yogesh, good evening, Yogesh. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone, all my respected colleagues from different parts of the country. Uh, so, I welcome you all on this first day of our FDP. Uh, okay, how many of you are actually pursuing your PhD? How many of you are research scholars? You can raise your hand, something like this. That would help me in understanding. Okay, great, great. Okay, so I have around one, two, three, five PhD scholars. Yes. Okay. Okay. You are planning. Shivdeep ma'am says she's planning to join in. Great. Okay. Okay. Either you are a PhD scholar, you are already joined, or you are planning to join. So all those who are planning to join the PhD program. So how many of you are planning to join up a PhD program? Okay. Another, so more people are interested in doing a PhD. That's great. That's great. Your interview is cleared. So seven people, around seven, eight people are there. Fair enough. So out of 25 people who are present over in this today's session, around I believe eight good peoples are 8 to 9 peoples are joined. Okay, great, great. Thank you very much for your response. Keep responding. Okay, keep responding to such to question answers type, so that we have a session. Acha, you have already joined. Vishal sir says he has already joined in the PhD course. That's great. That's great. That's great. So, with this understanding, may I have your hands down, please, so that it's no more confusions. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. So, now, what I would be talking to you about is the session. The theme for the day is that we and research ethics. So, any one of you who has dealt with any plagiarism software in past up till now, in anyone? Okay, okay. Ma'am says yes. Okay, great. Atul Suri sir also says yes. Turnitin. Array, that's great. That's great, Vishal sir. If you've dealt with Turnitin, okay, not an issue, not an issue, not an issue. Okay, Turnitin. That's great. That's great. That's good. So I was introduced to this idea of plagiarism way back in 2008. Okay, so most of you have dealt with Turnitin. That's a good software to be. So I was introduced to this idea of plagiarism in 2008. The university through the foreign university. We had a foreign university collaboration, De Montfort University, which had an inbuilt idea of Turnitin on its blackboard, and through this we and when we have started off our PGDM program also, we continued with this idea of plagiarism, of student assignments and plagiarism things. So so quickly let me take so you those who have dealt with Turnitin or plagiarism type of things, so I would quickly lead you through my presentation today, and it would be more of more of experiential sharing, less of trying to understand things, less of trying to do things type. So it would be more of an experiential sharing session types. So that is what I would be doing for another an hour or so that is allotted to us. And here we start off with this presentation. Okay. So this is what I would be talking to you. Uh, So I'm not getting into generally plagiarism issues or publication ethics or something like that. But I would like to tell you something which I understand as far as my idea of plagiarism and things goes. The first idea is that um, you know it's the idea that we need to understand that people actually have got a different people do refer to our researches. Okay. Day before yesterday, some of my professor colleague published a research, and his research, he comes from an engineering background, and his research was referred to by the MP technical education also. So please do understand this thing, that people do refer to our researches. Okay. So if even if it is not medical thing, even if if it is medical thing, then it becomes more of a public reference point. But even if it is not a medical thing, then also people refer to our researches. So as a researcher, it becomes our responsibility. Okay, beyond ethics, it becomes our responsibility that we give them a true and a correct idea of things as to what can be done, what is there, what lies beneath it. So hence it becomes an must that we need to present them an authentic piece of work. Okay. Now, while I will try and through the rest of my course of this thing, I would try and get you onto that thing, that what is this idea of authentic uh, authenticity of research in that way. Okay. So these are some of the issues that I would be talking to you largely today. Uh, so let's take them one by one. Okay, and during all this, while we deal with all such issues, I would be talking to you that as to how such things can be dealt in a proper way. Okay. Should you have any doubt, you want to contribute something, please feel free, raise your hand, and you can speak. Okay. So please feel free to do that. Okay. So I would like to tell you something that I don't know if you might have gone through this article, uh, which says that that there was some issue with IIT Madras conducting a research. Have you gone through that article? Any one of you? Has anyone gone through that? Okay, let me just search. Let me just search if I can, IIT Madras. It was a week or two back. IIT Madras research issue. One second. So for by showing this, or by I'm just taking it as an example. I'm not talking, or I'm not saying that this is authentic type of thing, or this is something which they have done. I'm not trying to shade or paint anything in any shade. Please understand this thing. Okay, a very reputed institution. I'm not trying to paint it. I'm just trying to say, I'm trying to prove my point on one thing, that some of the parents have raised this complaint saying that IIT, in one of the schools that is that is in the IIT premises or something like that, they have claimed that they have on to students, and that was not authentic types. Okay, that research has some issues, or that was not an authentic type of research. Okay. So my point that I'm trying to make is that I would get you back onto my point. One second, please. So this we have already dealt with. Let's skip this. We were talking about approval and consent. So that's what my point is. That have you obtained necessary approvals? Okay. See, this was a case of Renu ma'am. I believe you are. Uh, please mute yourself, Renu ma'am. Thank you. So as a researcher, we need to understand that the first thing you need to be aware about three things. One, have you told your, we generally write on to this idea that this research is conducted for an academic purposes and by any chance, it has got no other use. See, academic purposes, this I agree. I'm not denying that you won't be carrying it for an academic purpose. But as I said, people do look into your researches. Okay. So one, please let people know that this can be published online also. Many journals today, almost all journals these days they have got an online publication. Okay, so please understand the first thing that please mention it clearly that this can be published online. One, two. Many researchers, I have gone through many questionnaires which say that either give your email or give your number or give your name or something like that. And I asked them why you want to do that. So they tell that this is used for say my guide wants me to know that otherwise how I would establish that these are authentic things. Do you think that getting an email or getting a name would establish the authenticity of research? I seriously doubt. Okay, to my extent of knowledge of research, I seriously doubt that. Uh, if you have gotten authentic data through an email or through something like that, that can be that's a serious question mark. Okay, let me ask you one question. Let's do a quick survey on to that. Say I want to do a research. Okay, I want to do a research on, say, faculty development programs. How seriously faculties attend the faculty development program. Say, let's take that as an example. So how many of you are ready to give your email? I want to establish the authenticity of that thing. So I want your name and email to be written on that form while submitting it. How many of you are ready to do that? Please raise your hands. Okay. Okay. Great. Many people. 7, 8, 9. Good. Okay. So I have 9 hands. 10, 11. Great. 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 Very good people. Yeah. Very good people. 13 people have raised their hands. Almost 50% of people, they believe in me. Agreed. Thank you very much. Okay. Now, tell me something that you and me are meeting on a platform through RFI. If I would have been a stranger to you and I would have just, since you are into some research group, I believe there would be some research group that would be there. And I would have just sent you a request, a questionnaire, and I'm pretty sure you might be receiving such questionnaires. How many of you would still, be ready to give this information? Or how many of actually you have given this information through this questionnaire received through this research groups? So how many of you have given your this thing? Okay, eight people say that they are given you their email ID and say their name. Okay, great, very good. You people are very helping. That's nice to know. That's good. That's good. Okay, great. See, many people won't agree to this. As soon as they see, this is what my research experience tells me. As soon as they see that they have got a name, they have got, or you want to relate them to certain organization, or you want certain personal detail, there is always a question mark raised in their mind why you want to do this. It's only for academic purpose. No? So how does it matters to you that who is answering this thing? So then you can tell them, "Sir, my guide wants this thing, or university wants this thing," whatever the thing that you express. See, I tell you my own experience of research. When I was doing my PhD, so I asked that, like, name of organization during my pilot study. I'm telling you, okay, that otherwise, how would I establish that which organization provides which type of facilities to labor? And you won't believe that after few of my questionnaires, not even 10, 15 out of that also, my targets was say around. My target was around 50 or 60 questionnaires. 10% of my target was to get it through a pilot study. And you won't believe that out of 10, 15, after 10, 15 questionnaire, this news spread across that industrial area where I was conducting a research, that there is some person who visits us, who has a PhD in labor, and every type of questionnaire he asks about what type of welfare. I had done my PhD in labor welfare. So he keeps asking that, what type of welfare activities are presented to you, or they are, available to you, something like that. Okay. I don't know if it is, if it is like, and then they started, some of them started questioning me on that thing, that how would I believe that you are taking this for only for academic purpose? Because, ever since I have given you a data, there is some, I don't know, but there is some problem, or there is some spark that I see between myself and the HR. Okay. So have you disclosed something to HR? Because you have written the name of the organization, but I said that I haven't got your name or anything. So that how would HR say, understand? So then he was arguing that no, he can understand it from my handwriting or this or that. So why you want to trace me back to the organization? I would not ask even his email or something, anything which can reveal his personal identity. Only organization I asked. So I went on to understand this thing, that okay, if I don't understand, if I don't get my say organization, what can I do about it? And the answer that I got was that, "Ki, why don't I do it industry wise, sector wise, like." Okay, that was the first answer. Second answer, so I can obviously ask them which sector you work for. So in that sector, there would be hundreds of industries, or there would be at least 30, 40 industries. So it is, you know, practically impossible to relate it back to that thing, that what can be done types. So that's what I'm saying, that how is like this, that such things. Now you can ask me that, if not, what can I do? See, your skewness and kurtosis would explain this idea to you when there would be a session on that thing, so you would understand that better. Skewness and kurtosis would tell you that thing, whether with name and email also, is this data authentic. Please understand this thing. Your real test of data, of authenticity of data, lies in other, through statistical things. It can be proved whether it can be done, or it is not, it's authentic or it's not authentic. Name and email won't serve many purposes for you. Please understand this thing. People would lay back, or people have got hinges on that idea, that they won't be, they take it as a privacy type of an issue, that breach of privacy. So please understand that, seek their approval. Especially if you are, say, if you are doing a case study, seek their approval. Tell the organization clearly that you would be doing this case study. This case study would be published online, something, something, something like that. So please tell them very clearly. Okay, before you actually go and if it is a case study, 100% obtain what I should say, obtain a permission from the organization, a written permission from the organization, at least on the mail. All good journals would like to see that before they publish it. So please do that before, you actually do it. So that's what I'm saying. Tell it, you write a standard thing, that you are doing it for academic purposes, and the results may not be individually traced, but it can be, that would be linked online. Okay, they would be available online. These are the two most important. I started telling you that people do refer to our researchers. Okay, Please don't understand it vaguely that people don't refer to your researchers. Who's, how does it matter? A research on labor welfare, how would it, matter on that? You never know. People may refer it for policy purposes. Government refers it for policy purposes. And this is not the first case. The case I just shared you. Before also, people had, shared their researches. I had got an offer from a government department to conduct a research and to tell them that how exactly is the welfare of the people. So people do looking forward to such researches which they can, or you can share such your research. If you think that okay, this research can go in policy matters, you can share your research with government or this department of government, and people would be happy to know from you that what is the, what is the underlying current types. That's the reason, you know that's an important idea, that you should stay away. Your data should be very accurate. Okay, to the extent possible, it should be very accurate. Forget about this thing that some people would be, they would be blindly ticking your questionnaire. Forget about those data. But at least 90% of that, your data accuracy should be high. What some researchers do, they actually design some faulty questionnaire, or they get the data from a wrong source, and then they want to see that, or then they want to believe that uh, you know that this say I ask you a simple question. uh, who take a bigger investment decision? Like I ask you a common question. Please don't take me otherwise on to it. This is just an example. In a general parlance, who according to you would take a bigger investment decision, a male or a female? If you're studying gender, say for example. Or shall I simplify this question? Say for example, who according to you would get more benefits in an organization, a permanent, so-called permanent worker, or a contractual worker? So you can answer either of these questions. You can speak also if you want. Who according to you would get a better, pay package or better benefits, a permanent or a temp staff or a contractual staff? Who according to you would get better facilities? Obviously, permanent. Agreed? That's the reason I'm asking you. No, that's the reason I'm telling you. What if now? So everyone agrees permanent would get better benefits. Great. Now answer a simple question of mine. A very simple question. What if your research indicates that temporary or contractual employees getting almost, if not better, but almost equivalent to permanent staff? What would you do with this research? There would be several question marks. Yes or no? Will there be question marks on this research? Yes, absolutely
Yes,
yes.
sir.
Okay,
Correct.
that's what I'm saying. Now, if you got that's what I'm saying. Now, how you got this idea? God help you. You made a false, you made a wrong question. You asked. See, if you ask a wrong question, you would get a wrong reply. As simple as that in research. So, if you asked the wrong question, you would get a wrong reply. So, your questionnaire was faulty. You never pilot tested it. You went on to wrong person to ask it, or it was something, you know God knows how you got those answers. I'm not trying to get you onto that thing that the researcher has, you know got it unethically. He has filled the questionnaire himself. Even if he has filled the questionnaire himself, he has got that. Now what you are trying to do, but people then would start objecting to your research. So what you would do, you try to justify, and when you are trying to justify, you would mold the answers that you have actually got. And that is where fabrication or falsification of data comes in. You try to show the results which your research doesn't indicates. That is where this is this is, I call it criminal. That you are trying to tell people the story which is not a real story. which is not, which doesn't reflect the true idea of it. So what you are doing, so what makes you do that? Say, why one should be doing this? Either you are in a conflict of interest, so people don't want you to reveal the truth, maybe. Okay. Hence, as a researcher, this is my, what should I say? This is my advice to you. Many people tell me that, sir, I obtained this data through my friend's organization. You might have agreed, not a problem. But that is where a question mark may be. Please understand this thing. That if you obtain things through your so-called friend's company, then, and if that is some negative thing in that, then you would be under pressure, you would be under compulsion to take it off, you would be under obligation to take it off. That's what I'm saying. Hence, when you discuss conflict of interest, so remember this as an example. I would request all of you, I would, advise all of you, take data from an independent company. Tell them the truth. Okay. Take data from an independent company rather than taking it from your so-called friend's company. Okay. Because then you would be under many compulsion. And then probably chances of creating a fabricated data would be high. Okay. So absolutely that's a serious misconduct. Plagiarism. Okay. Before I start with plagiarism, let me ask you a simple question. uh, while you do research, you refer to many work, or you refer to works that were already done. Yes, in form of review of literature, in any form, you refer to researches which were already published or already done. Okay, and what is taught to you? You might be taught, or you might be educated on this thing, that you need to give credit to people for all those researches that you have referred to. Agreed? Now, one of my research scholars, he came to me to ask these two questions, and he said that, sir, rather three questions in different sequence and different time frame. I'm asking you all three at one go. Please answer these questions. Three questions, simple questions. He said that I referred to, once you advised me, I had gone through 20 research papers to write this, say, uh, 10 pages. Say, for example, I'm just taking an example, 5 pages, 10 pages, whatever you feel like. So, and then I have written it in my own language. So, one, why I should give credit to them? Because now it's all in my language. Answer this first question. I have referred to research. Great. I have referred, I have written it in my language. So, it is now not their research, it becomes my research now. Okay. So, why I should, give credit to them? Tell me, why you should give credit to people then? Okay, because it is referred to get an idea. Because, I ask you a simple question. Is it your original idea? The answer may be no. That's not your original idea. You got an idea from people. Okay, that's great, because he gets the basic idea from there. So you got idea from someone else. You might have written it in your own words, and now you cannot, deny this thing, that this, or you cannot publish it as your own idea now. Okay. So then he went on to ask me, sir, then what is research for? I have researched it. Okay. So that's what I told him. So that's what my answer was. So that's what I'm saying you, that if you are, this is not your idea. You have borrowed this idea from someone. And now you want not to give credit to people. Okay. Now you don't want to give credit to people. And that is where, you have done it. And why do you want to give credit? So then he, after all explanation, he agreed. Then he had a second question. So if I give credit to all these people, then what would be my contribution to research? People would ask me that you have just summarized someone else's paper and presented it. So what have you done it? What is your research in it? What should I say then? What is my contribution in this? If I have, picked up from everyone and you want me to credit also, okay, since you are, you are my guide, you, I do believe in that. You want to give credit also. So then what would be my contribution to research? Agreed? I guess, sir, absolutely agreed. Some people only want degree. But degree, even, even getting a degree in today's technological world, it's not that easy. Okay. So what do you want to do then? So why you want to, what would be your contribution in research if you give credit to people? What would be your contribution then? Your that uh, absolutely. So that your contribution to this idea would be, anyone wants to speak, please? Adding new approach, vision, work on research gaps. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Your contribution would come in frame of, when you would be writing inferences, you would be writing discussion on based on this all understanding. That would be your contribution to the research. That what do you understood out of all this, what is happening around types? That would be your contribution. So hence, it is not good. Okay, it is actually unethical to create a copy of things, and then people commit blunders. What do they do? This is, through student assignments and many things I have learned on that thing. As I told you, I was exposed to this practice of plagiarism since 2008. So what have we seen is that people copy, say, an entire thing, say a paragraph or so, and they keep changing, doing right clicks and changing synonyms or adding synonyms. One, that makes it meaningless. Two, still Turnitin would catch it. If you, some people said that they have, experience with Turnitin. They have experience of Turnitin. So it would still catch Turnitin. Turnitin would still catch it. So hence it becomes very crucial for you that you actually, do onto that thing, that things, things actually get on to a different idea while you are trying to make that effort of not doing over things. Okay. So you are making it meaningless, plus you would be caught with one or the other plagiarism software. So that is where this, please understand that this is a criminal thing. Okay. And when I say criminal, let me, give you an example. Before this so-called online world, okay, when the world was not that much online, uh, I had reference to two or three cases wherein I remember that, some person from south, he was traveling to this part of the country to attend some FDPs and all that. So since he was staying in the university hostel, he went on to, say, access. One day he got free early, so he went on to access library. All good faculties would do that. So he went on to access library. And since he was just going through the library, trying to see that what are the sections, central library, university libraries, you can understand it would be huge type of a library. So and in the PhD section, he found almost similar type of a title that he had gone through, or he had completed his research on. And to his surprise, out of curiosity, he picked up that thesis, to know that almost 110 pages were ditto, okay, similar or same, copy pasted from his research into his thing. So he went on to do this thing, and it took him almost 1.5, 2 years to prove this idea. Since, as I said, it was the world, world was very different offline. To prove this thing that this is primarily his research, and since this person who had committed this type of thing, he was the so-called powerful person. So it took him 1.5, 2 years to to write letters to different committees and things like that. And finally, uh, this person was not only taken off from the job, but his PhD was also cancelled. So this is what a plagiarism, serious offense of plagiarism, can actually do to you. So please save yourself from plagiarism. And the third question, then this student asked me a third question, a simple question, that when should I give credit to people at the end of the paragraph of all that I have done? I should give that, or it as it appears like. What is your understanding? When this credit should be given at the end of the paragraph, all credit put at one the simplest answer to this would be give credit to people, citation, what you call as give citations as and when you use it. You may be using an affirmative sentence, cite it. You are giving some data, for sure cite it. Okay. You are using a phrase from that typical or a research that was used typically in that research. You are using a phrase from that thing, cite it. Okay. So anything where you are not, that is not your thing, please cite it. You might have picked up from two or three researchers, don't worry. You have ended up that sentence or that paragraph, cite it. So idea is not that when are you citing, okay? Cite it the first, as soon as you finish off the entire reference from that paper or those papers, cite them. As simple as this, okay? So as of now, I'm touching on this plagiarism. Then I would come back to on this. We would continue on to this thing that as to how to save yourself from plagiarism things. So remember this thing. I told you one idea onto that thing. Yeah, please read this thing. That you must be aware of publication guidelines. So please be aware onto that thing that publication guidelines not only tell you that how many what should I say? In which format do they want it, what is the font size and things like that, but they also want this idea that if you have submitted it, uh, how much time would it take to publish? Usually all the good scopus journals may take it, say, almost 6 months to 8 months to publish it. UGC journals or in any good journals may take 6 to 8 months. If you have got that much time with your manuscript, go with it. If not, it's always better that you can write an email to the editor saying that, sir, I'm willing to submit it. How much, on an average, how much time does it takes to publish it in your journal? If you have that much time, go ahead, do it that. If not, please don't submit it to that journal. Don't, people, what they do, they tell me, sir, I have submitted in three journals simultaneously, so that at least one would publish it. The sooner, the better types. Okay. The one who publishes it the first. So the rest would, I would decline the rest. Okay. I'm leaving this thread open now. With plagiarism, I'm leaving this thread open. Okay. This is what you should avoid doing. Okay. Not because it's a fraud type of thing. Not only because of that thing. As I said, I'm leaving this thread open to continue in the next slide. However, what you can do is that you have presented it in certain conference, you improve over that paper after your question answers, and then submit it for publication. Absolutely right. Okay, you can do so. Okay. Uh, UGC guideline says one research, one credit. You have done a research, good. Take one credit out of it. Don't try to play around with words. Don't try to maneuver with things that don't try to manipulate with things that you change the title, you change the some you do some decoration, some makeup here and there, and you change it to produce another almost a similar type of a manuscript with, as I told you, with with similar sounding things. So that is where the plagiarism actually so that is where this is that you're trying to create a duplicate paper out of almost a similar work that you already submitted and published it somewhere else. So you change something here and there, and then you do it in other ways. Okay. So either it can be a major thing or it can be salami slicing. Okay, salami slicing means you what you do. You do some type of say you have already done one analysis. You do some more and you do one thing more out of it, or you create some element of redundancy or repetition types. Okay, which is nevertheless acceptable types. So you do, as I said, you do cosmetic changes here and there in the same paper, change the title, okay, and you send it to another journal for publication. And people are great. They publish one paper online with that thing. They change something and send it to some offline journal. Okay, so they do such type of things. They have practiced onto that thing. So as I said, you do some or the other thing just to create uh, to whitewash, to create a whitewash. Okay. So in order to promote yourself, you cite your research. I'm not saying that self citation can't be done. Please go ahead and do that, but it is, at times people do it out of context. You are publishing it on management. You are referring to one of your paper which was published on, say, some student studies. Okay, so you, just for creating a sake of reference, you are creating it. And this, as a reviewer, I'm telling you, once I caught this idea in a reviewing paper, when I was referring to their reference list, and I realized that one of this paper was on management. Okay, primarily based on say shopping preferences. And one of the paper that was referred to in it was, since as a reviewer, I'm not we are not given the original name of the author, but it has some paper to the reference of some scientific paper. So I asked the author. When I wrote my comment, I asked the author that how is this scientific paper which talks about some tools or equipments related to this thing? So have you used these tools or something that you forgot to mention in RM? Something of that sort. Otherwise, how this scientific study? Okay, I went to the source to read the abstract at least. So I found that this was some tools or equipment based study that was just used in his paper. So later on, that's what later on editor went on to disclose that this was just an unnecessary self citation. So that's what I'm saying. People that out of this thing. Please answer this question for yourself. Okay, this is something which happens many a times. That I'm sorry to say this on a public platform, but I have seen this happening, that maybe your guides, I'm not saying all of them, I'm not trying to again paint a picture in a certain way, but maybe your guides, maybe your senior colleagues, maybe your director, maybe your HODs, they want that, okay, why don't you use my name? If the paper goes in my name, then I know the editor of this thing, I know this one, I know that, so there would be an easy publication. So in any type of direct or indirect type of an idea, in quotes, okay, to make themselves to make them a co-author. Now the question is, what is your contribution as a co-author? Okay, at least we can you can talk about collaborative research. Great. I'm not saying that you should not do a collaborative research. Do a collaborative research. Okay, I may not be good in statistics, so at least I can do the rest of the so-called theory part, and you can do the statistics part. So it makes me eligible for a co-authorship. Okay, so at least have some contribution. If you are more than two authors, more than three authors type, then let everyone contribute onto that thing. Okay, so what makes you co-author? What is your contribution? That's what I have put a question mark into it. Something that you need to decide on your own. Okay, rather than somebody else questioning. See, never a research scholar or your junior colleague or your your prodigy would be able to ask you this question that, sir, what have you done, or ma'am, what have you done to be a co-author? They can't. It's up to you. When you are senior, okay, it's your duty, it becomes your duty that you create that environment for people that they are, they are promoted. Please understand this thing. I already talked about this conflict of interest. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. That it's always better that when you are a senior, when you are so-called experienced, remember that at any given point of time in our life, we also had hand holdings. So promote your junior colleagues. Like say all those who are, say in some or the other way they are doing their PhD, they may not be very thorough with statistical test and this and that. So if you are a senior colleague to them, please help them with statistics. That okay, let's write a paper together. So what we would do, I would do the statistical things, okay, and you write the theory thing. So it would make them a practice. It becomes our duty as a senior colleague to them, because after all we are colleagues. We are not bosses. Okay, even if you are a director or at a director or at an HOD level, you are their senior colleague. So as a senior colleague, it is expected, because at some given point of time we were also juniors. Somebody might have handholded us, and that is the reason why you know something that you know. Okay, out of this vast field of knowledge, we know something that we know today. So please be very very understanding on that idea. Now coming on to that major question, that okay, if there is a problem with this thing, how you would avoid plagiarism? One, don't try to don't try to act smart. I understand, most of you are faculties, or almost all everyone who is listening to me is a faculty. They won't, they are not childish. They won't display this childish student behavior of that. Let me see who catches me up. So it's okay. People are, people are smart. People are not smart. Forget about it. Softwares are. You put it in Turnitin, you put it in any anti-plagiarism software, they would catch it up. I told you just now that why you need to put in citations. The length of your citations would help you in two ways. One, as a reviewer, we understand this thing, that this many sources are actually being referred to. Okay, so you're not saying, or you're not just plainly committing anything. One, two, this is the idea that uh, that things are say, even if it shows plagiarism, then the more sources that you refer to, say for example, if you refer to 20 resources in writing a research paper, 20, 30 resources, then my experience says that one, that not all sources would be plagiarized. Two, uh, it even if it is less than 1%, the total would be not even 10% or not even 7-8%. UGC says 10% is acceptable. So not even 10% it would be reflected. So these are the two, straight benefits of citing sources. So the depth of your citation would, that's what it says, use range of sources. Okay. So if you are using a quotation, put inverted commas into it, indent it to left. That would be, any good software like Turnitin would understand that this is a quotation, and then put a citation at the end of it. But this is my serious advice to you, that put only one or two definitions, not more than that. Okay, put only one or two definitions. Don't try to overdo the definitions, even in your research paper or even in your thesis. Okay, you explained it, the concept once, one good definition that would explain, and then you can write other things also. So don't try to overdo from a single source. That is what would become a serious thing then, that you have picked up a huge chunk. Some papers would be 70%, 80% very relevant to your research. They would be. Okay. Don't try to pick them, it would be like you got a treasure. Agreed. But don't try to overuse that treasure. Otherwise, plagiarism is bound to happen. And I told you just think that, it is not only a submission fraud that you submit it to various journals at one given point of time. I tell you another issue. Most of these journals, or almost all journals, what they do, as soon as you submit them the paper, they would check it first, through anti-plagiarism software. Now, these anti-plagiarism softwares would have a range of, or a depth of sources attached with them, and based on these sources attached with them, they can say, they can check your plagiarism. Okay, so that's how any anti-plagiarism software algorithm works. So whatever is submit, so either they would look into open sources, free sources. That's how they would look into it. You have submitted it only to say one to journal A. You haven't got then you send it to journal B, then you send it to journal C. Okay, or simultaneously you have done that. So journal A would check it first. Okay, now this would be there on their database. Okay, so again, this database is on internet or on cloud or something like that. Now, when journal B would put it, the chances are high that your paper would get self-plagiarized. This is the problem. Even if when you are using a so-called free anti-plagiarism software, this is the problem. Or say one of my friend from this group has gotten access to Turnitin, so I request them that out of courtesy, can you please check a paper for me? Agreed. Please check it. Check it on only on those so-called anti-plagiarism software where you or the person who is checking it has got a right to delete, has got an administrative right that they can delete it from the database. If not, then you can be in a serious problem of self-plagiarism. Okay. And this, believe me, would be a severe thing for you to handle, or for you means any researcher to handle. That you won't be able to understand that it is out of my own paper that this plagiarism is reflected. So all changes and all things you would make, and practically you have to take it off and you have to redo the entire paper to resubmit it. Okay, so it would be double type of thing. So what is the solution then? Solution one, that's what I said, don't submit it simultaneously to multiple journals. Two, I submitted to journal A. Journal A has not got me published, say within 3 months, or no review comments have been received in 3 months. Write an email to journal people saying that, sir, I'm likely to withdraw this paper, or I'm withdrawing this paper. And please, if you have created an plagiarism database, or if you have checked it for plagiarism, I would request you to please delete it from database. Okay. Maybe send a reminder to them, get it deleted from their database, and then only move on to the next journal. This would happen very quickly. So once you have decided not to get published, tell them openly that I'm not intending to get it published. Please delete it from your database, plagiarism database. They would delete it. Okay. And then proceed to the next paper. Chances are that your chances of getting a self plagiarism would be very low. So one request, use of free anti-plagiarism software, that's a question mark always. Okay, because they won't allow you to delete it from their database, from their master database. So that always becomes, if you cannot delete it from server, that always become a question mark. Okay, so and self plagiarism would be a severe type of a thing. Okay, and if you are a non-native speaker to that language, you're referring to, at times it does happens that you may be translating it to some other language for the ease of understanding of the respondents. Please get it translated not only through some online type of a service of translation. Okay, to the extent I would go to that, all the PhD scholars who are listening to me, please do not use the exact title. Okay, okay, I would tell that thing. So please do not, use. I was making this point that please do not use the same title of your PhD thesis for writing any research paper. Before your thesis, you are awarded that thesis. Even after you are awarded, because UGC now puts it onto an online platform. So please don't use it that way. Now, so hence, please do not, try to reproduce any part of your PhD thesis as it is to create a research paper. A near about type of idea, okay. Okay. A near about idea is always okay. You never know who gets inspired by your title and submits a research before you can actually. Okay. So that may be one of the cases, but it does happen. Now, you asked me this question that, how you can be sure of that, whether the journal has deleted or not. Okay. So request them, maybe, a type of confirmation from them that they have actually deleted from their database. And I believe almost all good journals would respond back to you, though maybe bit delayed, but they would respond back to you telling that they have deleted it from their databases. Okay. So get a sort of confirmation from them. Even if you don't receive a confirmation from them, maybe, say for example, okay, go ahead and submit it. If it shows self plagiarism, send this email to this the other journal. Okay, that it is because of this idea. By default, you believe that people are very generous on that thing, that they would delete your paper. So please understand, as I told you, understand this, that how what is the overall plagiarism that is allowed. Okay. So from single source, from overall, what is the plagiarism thing that is allowed? So it's always, as a researcher, please understand this thing, that we are responsible, act responsibly. As a researcher, please try and understand that we need to act responsibly. We need to, adhere to this idea that people do refer to our researchers. Please understand this thing, that people do refer to our researchers. We need to create that transparency. We need to create that reliability in our research. Okay. Small, big, whatever the kind of research we are doing, people would frame, at times you talk about that. Okay, how is the scene? Say you are writing a secondary research paper based on this idea, said that how is the scene, like, say, I receive many research reviews for papers, for reviews, which says that, like, say, what is the labor scene in, say, Philippines. So even if I may not know you as a reviewer, but I'm getting say, a feel of Philippines. I hope you're trying to get my point. So some people may be getting a feel of that country through your research. So hence, on a larger thing, it becomes more responsible that whatever you do, please not try to get on to any unethical, illegal, or data falsification, fabrication. See, at the core of it, what is the real story. Okay. But people do refer to your researches. So it's my utmost, you know, uh, with sincere request to you, that please create that amount of transparency, that amount of, please put in hard work. You might have got some target. I do understand that your institution might have, got onto that thing. So the answer, sir, somebody asked, I would be answering that shortly. Let me finish it off. So you can refer to such type of publication guidelines with Committee on Publication Ethics. And that's all as far as my presentation is concerned. Any questions? I won't like to take much of your time this evening. I do understand, that for working entire whole day, and after that you are sitting in this class. But I'm very happy that you all are here, because you are the people who are interested in your development, who actually want to do something good. So my all respect and regards to you. Now somebody asked me this question, that can I suggest some type of a free plagiarism, anti-plagiarism software? uh, my idea is very simple. I don't have any idea as to what a free plagiarism software can do, or if there is any type of a free plagiarism. So I've never tried any free plagiarism software. Okay. So like, say, I'm not saying that I've written all papers without any plagiarism. There might have cropped up. So once the editor sends me back that this is the your plagiarism report, refer to it and make changes, so that we can resubmit it. So I would make changes, that okay, from where all it caught and things like that, where the things have not been referenced properly, or the software might have misunderstood, or anything, any any chances of that thing. So I've tried and avoid any such chances, or if that has cropped in, I have removed that plagiarism and send it back to the editor, so that it is tested only before. I've never tested any of my papers, despite of the fact, as I told you, we had access to Turnitin through our university. I've never tried to do that, because then you do it, then you ask the uh, people sitting right back at there that they delete it. Generally, people may not be that interested in doing so, and then many of them may not have an uh, say an administrative right to that. So please know that, that if it's under some obligation that you are doing so, I would seriously and strongly advise you not to use any type of free plagiarism software. After all, they are free. So they would take something from you. Okay. So all free things are always a question mark. Even if they are paid, the idea is the same. If you can have got a tested idea that you can delete it from the database, go ahead. Any further questions, anyone? Or shall we call it a day?
Thank you, sir. I am Atul Suri from
Yes.
Dialbag University, Dialbag, Agra.
Okay,
Uh,
correct.
Sir, your lecture was really interesting for all of us, and you have talked about the publication ethics and avoiding falsification and plagiarism of data while doing our research. Sir, just one thing I would like to ask you or maybe share with you. Like in the
Please
beginning
go
of
ahead.
the
Please go
lecture,
ahead.
you talked about IIT Madras and their publications and
No,
site.
no, no. I talked about this idea, Atul sir, that
Okay,
some of the parents have alleged this. I think that IIT has conducted some research, and that was not even a clinical trial. You know, that
okay,
if you refer to this Hindus news, so they have alleged this thing that they have, and they're not obtained. The parents were not informed. That is their
okay,
allegation. Okay, that's still an allegation. I'm not saying that it's a
okay,
confirmed type of thing. That's an allegation. Yes,
okay.
please go ahead, Atul sir.
One thing I just would like to know that these National Institute framework ranking and other such committees which audits or which gives ranking to the institutes,
Hmm,
do
hmm,
they
hmm.
have some sort of quality checks, like whether because most of the IITs they are mainly focusing on the quality research, as what I know.
Absolutely yes.
So,
Absolutely yes.
but if we see the NIRF ranking, most of the private university they are entering in top 100 list.
Hmm,
Maybe
hmm,
on,
hmm, hmm,
using the this year data, we can see that around 65, 70 universities are there, which are private universities.
hmm, hmm,
So,
hmm,
so
hmm,
they are working on quantitative aspect of publication and their citations.
hmm,
But
hmm,
but
hmm.
but do the government is having some kind of check to understand that these citations are what type of citations are these, and what type of qualitative background is there for such kind of research? Because giving such type of ranking solely based on the number of citations and the number of publication, whether it is not
Hmm,
an impactful and contributing research for the society, how
hmm,
to
hmm.
what extent that is correct?
Atul sir, this I take more of, this I take more as a reflection, with with due respect to all government agencies and the working of those agencies. I do take it as a reflection rather than me commenting anything on that thing. But yes, for sure, this something, something needs to be actually looked into, that to the extent that this you are right. Like say, when we were as a part of RDC, so my VC would ask this pertinent question. What was his sole pertinent? How is this research, say, contributing to the society?
Right.
What is something new that you are trying to bring through this research? You would do PhD, not a problem. You would, somewhere or other you would be awarded, someday or other day you would be awarded PhD. So agreed.
Absolutely correct,
That
sir.
is what it is like, say, passed with difficulty types. So you would be awarded PhD. But what is the ultimate contribution? And this I keep telling Atul sir on all public platforms, that You believe that getting a doctor's thing or getting a doctor degree would be an achievement? Forget about it. This would haunt you for entire life, because every time people you go on for some interview, you go on for some place, people would be interested in knowing that what were your findings, how does this things. So you would be questioned on your PhD thoroughly.
Very true, sir. Very true.
So
Yes.
don't take PhD that okay, I have obtained yet another degree. No, no, nobody is interested in yet another degree, because only my understanding says that only 5% of people after their post graduation would end up doing a PhD. So you are,
Hmm.
we all are in this 5% category types. So this is something that we should respect out of it. And say, if say I go on to to contribute to your idea, if say for any matter, say NRIF or UGC or in anyone, if they are trusting you, say that they have placed the highest amount of trust in you, that you are, the research that you are showing is good and it's actually contribute research, if they're putting that trust on you without trying to micromanage your research, respect that.
Right, right. Thank you very much, sir.
This is what I told you at the start of this thing. You never know who is referring to this research to be authentic research. Okay.
Thank you,
So
sir. Thank you so much.
it becomes our highest level of understanding that if we are trusted, this is not trying to micromanage the system. No. But if they trust us, it becomes as a responsibility as a teacher, that if we are talking ethics, we should at least practice some of them.
Very correct, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Atul sir. In anyone, in any other reflection or any other point? Okay, fair enough. Thank you very much. I have taken your good amount of time. I again would, I always feel very elated when I join this platform. I'm not an expert onto this thing, but I'm here as your colleague, maybe, done PhD earlier than you, as take me as your one of your colleagues. And it's good that people from different walks of life, people from different institutions, people from different states come together on this platform created through RFI. So my sincere thanks to RFI, especially Saurabh Jain sir, Ajay sir, and everyone, Yogesh ji, who is our technical part of our technical team. So and all my respected colleagues who have invested their time of evening, uh, which otherwise they could have spent it at their own time, but they have been very kind to spend this evening with me, 1.5 hour, almost 1 hour and 10. So thank you very much for your time and patience.
हेलो
Yes,
हेलो
Yagesh Kumar sir.
नमस्कार सर
Sir, namaskar sir.
मैं डॉक्टर यज्ञेश कुमार हिंदी डिपार्टमेंट चौधरी चरण सिंह विश्वविद्यालय मेरठ
Sir,
मैं
namaskar sir.
मैं हिंदी का विद्यार्थी रहा हूँ
जी
और मैं
जी
एक बात पूछना चाहता हूँ कि
जी
जैसे प्लेगरिज्म की बात आती है,
जी
कई बार हम देखते हैं कि हमारे समय में, जिस समय हम विद्यार्थी के रूप में थे, तो
जी
डीलिट के टॉपिक जो होते थे वो काफी बड़े होते थे
जी
और आज के समय में शोध का जो परिक्षेत्र है, मैं तो साहित्य की बात कर सकता हूँ कि
जी जी
साहित्य में टॉपिक बहुत छोटे होते जा रहे हैं, वो एमफिल के बराबर ही पीएचडी के टॉपिक हो रहे हैं।
ट्रू
तो
ट्रू।
इसके संबंध में क्या कोई कार्यवाही होनी चाहिए कि नहीं होनी चाहिए, कि टॉपिक
सर
का
मेरा
क्षेत्र कितना होना चाहिए?
एग्रीड सर, मेरा इसमें ये सीधा सा निवेदन है, क्योंकि आप एक रिसर्च गाइड भी हैं सर, और मुझे पूरा मतलब ये भरोसा है कि आप मतलब आरडीसी कमिटीज वगैरह जो ये यूनिवर्सिटी कमिटीज होती हैं अप्रूव करने की, उनमें भी रहे रहे हैं सर, और अभी भी होंगे उनमें।
हाँ जी,
मेरा ये मानना है सर कि जो जो अतुल सर बोल रहे थे अभी, कि शोध का मतलब परिसरण कितना लंबा चौड़ा है, उससे इम्पोर्टेंट मेरा मेरा पर्सनली मानना है सर कि उसका कंट्रीब्यूशन क्या है। और ओबियसली जब उसका परिसरण लंबा चौड़ा होगा, थोड़ा सा फ्रेमवर्क चौड़ा होगा, तभी तो उसके अंदर बहुत सारी चीजें आएंगी और तभी वो उपयोगी बनेगी सर।
नहीं जो आप
हमारे
कह रहे हैं
एक
वो सही है। जैसे अतुल जी ने
हमारे
कहा
सर
था कि
एक
जो
एक एक,
प्राइवेट
एक बात मैं
यूनिवर्सिटी
बोल
हैं
रहा हूँ,
जी,
मैं एक बात बोलता हूँ सर। हमारे एक एचओडी थे, तो कभी जैसे उनसे कोई पीएचडी की कोई बात करता था ना, तो वो ऐसे जिसको बोलते हैं ना, एक सार्कास्टिक रिमार्क करते थे सर। वो मतलब उसमें बोलते थे, पीएचडी का आजकल क्या हो गया, चूहे की पूंछ पे कर लो। तो इट वाज तो वो एक सार्कास्टिक रिमार्क होता था। तो आप बिल्कुल सही बोल रहे हैं कि सर दैट होना यही चाहिए कि आजकल जो कंट्रीब्यूशन है सर, लोगों को बस ये लगता है कुछ भी टॉपिक लो, खत्म करो यार इसको, ठीक है।
हाँ, यही हो
ये
गया
तो
है।
बस मतलब 3 साल हो गए ना, यूजीसी ने 3 साल दिए ना, खत्म करो इस 3 साल में इसको।
अब तो और
वो
आगे
क्या
दो
कर
साल
रहे
होने
हैं,
वाले हैं।
क्यों कर रहे हैं, उसका क्या कंट्रीब्यूशन निकलेगा, उससे उसको कोई मतलब नहीं। दैट्स व्हाट आई सेड सर। ये पीएचडी आपको जिंदगी भर पीछा करेगी। हर अच्छी जगह
ये तो
जहां आप जाके खड़े होंगे, हर अच्छे ऐसे प्लेटफॉर्म्स पे जहां आप जैसे बुद्धिजीवी लोग उनको मिलेंगे, वो पूछेंगे कि आपने किया क्या। नॉर्मल बातचीत में भी आप और हम क्या एक दूसरे से बात करेंगे, आपने जैसे मेरे से पूछा, अच्छा सर आपने पीएचडी किस में करी, अच्छा क्या उसमें से क्या निकल के आया सर, यहीं से
हाँ,
तो आप
होता
लोग
यही है।
बात शुरू करेंगे ना। होता यही है सर, दैट्स व्हाट आई एम सेइंग। लोगों को क्या लगता है, बस डॉक्टर की डिग्री टाइटल मिल गया ना, बस अब अपना काम हो गया है।
हाँ, यही समाज में एक सोच आती जा रही है।
बस बस बस
जबकि
बस
पीएचडी तो एक शोध का विषय है कि उसमें हमने शोध किया
बिल्कुल
क्या
सर,
है, हम देना क्या चाहते हैं समाज को,
बिल्कुल
और उसका
बिल्कुल सर,
लाभ क्या मिलेगा।
बिल्कुल
क्या
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। एक एग्रीड सर, एब्सोल्युटली एग्रीड सर। होना वही चाहिए सर, उसी सोच से पीएचडी होना चाहिए सर।
ठीक है जी, धन्यवाद आपका श्रीमान जी।
सर धन्यवाद सर, धन्यवाद।
Sir, I have a question and I write it in my chat box. Would you like to please answer it?
Yeah, sure. Please let me know your question. Let me read that. You have asked me that often it is asked my guide to search. This is the question, the Shodh Ganga one.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So suppose I study and search Shodh Ganga and visited nearby university library database, but no similar topic of my PhD research, and after that I proceed. But in mid time, it is known that same thing is doing over the same time. What do you do it primarily to get rid of such topic related problems? Ma'am, what you can do is that if you have searched it thoroughly, that there are no, you see, uh, the variables would be entirely different. Say for example, I come from, say, state of Madhya Pradesh. Okay, so I may be studying a particular area in Madhya Pradesh. Okay, so the chances that somebody would be doing exactly the same, okay, in the same area, in the same topic, that is, creating a twin type of a topic, that are very remote to my understanding and my experience with research, ma'am. This thing is a remotest possibility that you find a twin type of thing, an exact, kumbh ke mele ka bhai types. That chances are remote.
Yes,
but
sir. Yes, sir.
but say for example, if it happens also, at with what level you are, then you can, you can always add some more questions onto it, and you can always expand your idea of research. Okay, say
Yes,
even
sir.
if you find that that a real twin of yours are emerged out of nowhere, okay, a clone has emerged out of nowhere, try and figure out something that you can do, still do different from that. Okay,
Yes,
because
sir.
then he or she would be equally, in trouble. Not only you, ma'am. He or
Yes,
she,
sir.
the
Yes,
person.
sir.
See, if you and me are doing on a typical on a twin topic, then as you are concerned, so should I be,
Yes, sir.
because one person would submit it early.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, ma'am. So let's call it a day. Good evening, everyone, and have a great evening ahead. Thank you very much for your time and patience. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Good night.
Good night, sir. Good night.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Good night.
Thank you, sir. Good night, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.